Most people obsess over questions like, how can I be loved more? How do I become irreplaceable? How do I stay memorable? Machiavelli asks the question from the other side. Why can't people forget certain names? Why do some grow larger in the mind even after they pull away? Why do some presences become more powerful through absence? Because obsession doesn't start with love. Obsession starts with uncertainty. Clarity calms the mind, and a calm mind lets go. Uncertainty keeps the mind working. The more the mind works, the more it invests. The more it invests, the more it bonds. And the more it bonds, the more it loses control. This video doesn't tell a romantic fairy tale. It doesn't teach a cheap trick. It explains how the human mind attaches, and how, through Machiavelli's psychology of power, someone can't stop thinking about you, and how that effect is built deliberately. This is not a seduction lesson. This is a reading in influence architecture. Because in Machiavelli's view, people don't attach to you. They attach to the gap you create. So here's the real point. How do you make someone obsessed? Not with you, but with the idea of you. 1. Control accessibility, not access. When most people want connection, they reflexively become more available. They reply instantly. They answer every call. They fill every silence. They try to leave no uncertainty in the other person's mind. But Machiavelli sees the mistake. What is always accessible doesn't occupy space in the mind. The mind only wrestles with what's missing. In abundance, it relaxes. In scarcity, it sharpens. Someone you can reach at any moment may soothe you, but it won't bind you, because the mind doesn't need to invest. They're there. They're ready. They're predictable. When accessibility drops, the mind switches on. It waits. It guesses. It writes scenarios. And here's the crucial distinction. The goal is not disappearing. Disappearing is rupture. Rupture leads to being forgotten. The real mechanism is rhythm, the movement between presence and absence. Sometimes you're fast, sometimes slow. Sometimes you go deep, sometimes you pull back. That wave removes you from being a fixed figure. People get used to what is fixed. They focus on what is variable, because variability demands attention, and attention is mental energy. Where energy is spent, attachment forms. When you control your accessibility, the other person starts thinking about you. They try to decode your intent, and without realizing it, they bond to what they're trying to decode. The biggest mistake: cutting access completely, long silence, coldness, no replies. This isn't power, it's rupture. Machiavelli's concept is more refined. Access exists, but it isn't guaranteed. A reply comes, but the timing is unpredictable. Interest is felt, but it isn't constant. That uncertainty disrupts the other person's inner balance, because the mind wants to manage what it cannot control. Someone who can't predict when you'll be there starts centering you. They adjust their plans around you. They adapt to your tempo. Power is formed right there. 2. Make contact feel like a privilege. Managing accessibility also communicates one thing. My life has priorities, and I'm at the center of them. You don't run to every call. You don't rush to every demand. You don't fill every gap. You don't announce it. You don't perform it. You live it. The message is simple. Contact with me is a privilege, not a right. Once that perception forms, behavior changes. People become more careful, more measured, less forceful, because a possibility appears in the mind. I could lose this. And humans cling harder to what they might lose. Here's a key nuance. You don't invent excuses to limit access. You don't say, I'm busy. You don't explain, because explanation is defense. And defense creates equality. Instead, you set the rhythm through behavior. Today you're quick, tomorrow you're slow. That's it. When the mind can't get an explanation, it fills the gap itself, often against itself. Did I do something wrong? Where do I stand? Do I need to do more? That's where the bond deepens. 3. Create an emotional peak, then pull back where the mind doesn't attach to straight lines. Experiences that stay in one tone can be safe, but they don't leave a mark. Machiavelli sees this clearly. People don't remember balance. They remember fluctuation. Fluctuation produces emotional energy. Emotional energy is the raw material of dependency. Always kind, always available, always the same warmth. This may make you good, but it won't make you unforgettable. The mind files you as routine. Routine isn't studied. What isn't studied isn't bonded to. So what you do isn't fake excitement or artificial intensity. You build depth at the right moment, a moment where the other person feels truly seen. A conversation where they feel understood, a short but intense contact where they share something they normally wouldn't. Intensity leaves a deeper imprint than duration. 1 hour of real depth can mark more than weeks of shallow talk. The mind archives that moment as special and labels you as the source of that feeling. Here's the critical point. When the peak happens, you don't keep going. You don't offer more. You don't maintain the same warmth. And you don't explain, because giving a reason closes the gap. And what you need is the gap. The mind hates gaps. Gaps create discomfort, and discomfort triggers the urge to close the space. When you pull back, a question appears inside them. What happened? Where did that feeling go? Did I do something? They don't ask you. They loop it internally, and every internal loop deepens attachment. This pullback isn't punishment. It isn't coldness. It isn't indifference. It's simply a cut in intensity. Communication doesn't end, but the tempo drops. Contact decreases. Energy shifts. The mind uses the peak as a reference point. It compares the present to that high and feels lack, and it moves toward what it believes can remove that lack. Obsession is born here. Not attachment to a person, but attachment to the desire to relive a feeling. You become the key to that feeling. Yet the key doesn't open the door every time. Value rises exactly that way. But the balance matters. Repeat the peak too often, and it loses power. Never repeat it, and the bond breaks. The mastery is keeping the peak rare, yet possible. I can feel that again. I just don't know when. Uncertainty keeps the mind awake. Anticipation forms. Anticipation ties mental energy to you. 4. Don't reveal yourself. Reveal the missing piece in you. When people want closeness, they often overshare. They lay everything out. Fears, history, dreams, vulnerabilities. To Machiavelli, that burns the relationship too quickly. Because when everything is visible, nothing is left to discover. The mind wants discovery. The known brings comfort, but it doesn't create curiosity. And without curiosity, attachment weakens. That's why fully presenting yourself can turn you into a closed file. And once the file is closed, the mind moves on. This is not about hiding. It's not about wearing a mask. It's about leaving a deliberate incompleteness. You show one layer clearly, while keeping another slightly out of focus. You show calmness, but you don't map your boundaries. You show intelligence, but you don't say everything you think. You feel emotional, but you don't fully expose what truly moves you. They sense wholeness, yet they can't see the full picture. And when the full picture is missing, the mind feels a gap. The gap creates tension, and that tension can bond because the mind wants to resolve it and keeps thinking about you. Uncertainty becomes power here. Clarity hands control to the other side. Uncertainty keeps control with you. But the missing piece must be chosen well. Hide everything and you create coldness. Reveal nothing and you create distrust. Reveal some, keep some. This creates depth. Be like a deep well. Let them feel there's something inside, but don't show how deep it goes. 5. Become gravity. Create center effect without looking like the center. Obsession isn't built by constant presence, constant contact, constant reminders. Real impact often comes from the opposite. Machiavelli's idea of power isn't standing in the middle of the stage. It's being the point the stage revolves around. People who try to be the center exhaust themselves. Constant messages, constant attention, constant contact. It may feel warm at first, then it becomes weight. Weight lowers value because the mind adapts to what's easy, and what it adapts to becomes ordinary. Gravity is different. It doesn't explain itself. It doesn't prove itself. It simply exists. And over time, things move toward it. But there's a requirement. Your life must contain real substance beyond them, not fake busyness. Real focus, real priorities. You don't showcase it, you don't announce it. It shows through behavior. Sometimes you reply late without going cold. Sometimes you postpone without running away. Sometimes you go quiet without cutting off. They feel your life is full. I'm not the center of it, but I'm not outside of it either. That creates a powerful tension because there is no certainty. The mind starts asking, where do I stand in this life? Obsession sprouts right there. People relax where they feel valued, but they become mentally occupied where they can't locate their position. Occupation forms bonds, and the strongest position is the one that doesn't demand. Demand looks weak. When you don't chase, you become questioned. When you don't explain, you become analyzed. When you don't announce your priority list, people work to earn a spot on it. One more distinction. Distance is not the same as gravity. Coldness repels. Gravity attracts. The difference is emotional tone. Gravity doesn't slam doors. It controls doors. Who enters, when, how long, and how deep. It isn't said, it's felt. Final note, people don't remember how easily they could reach you. They remember how they felt when they couldn't. Absence often hits harder than presence. The point isn't controlling someone. The point is opening a space in their mind and never filling it completely. If you made it this far, write "I'm here" in the comments. And if you want these videos to continue, liking the video and subscribing matters more than you think. Thanks in advance. See you in the next one.